I always wonder how long it takes from when I hit go live to actually showing up. And I was watching the chat and I see Eric Stratus like, it says waiting, and I did hit it like I hit it like 5 seconds before 5:30. Anyway, here we are. I'll start over now. Hey everybody, it is Tuesday night. I am Rich Tessel. This is the Two Guys Tech Home Lab Hour. The hang out with everybody and talk about Home Lab and self-hosting and nerd stuff and technology and things that are on the channel, things that I made. You'd think I'd have this intro down by now, but I'm not good at intros, am I? Anyway, let's get over let's get through our housekeeping like I always do. This is all about Home Labs. It's all about hanging out with like-minded nerds. A lot of the chat has been quite busy, starting last night, thanks to Alley Cat. And, we hang out, we talk about what's news in the Home Lab. We talk about some self-hosting stuff. We talk about the videos I make, and as well as just, whatever else comes to mind, whatever just flies into my head that's odd. Anyway, as always, we have a Discord. The Discord is the community side of things. It is totally free. Go join the Discord. You can hang out with nerds. The chat is full of Discorders. I see Game Over Dave in there. I see Alley Cat UK. Sakura's in there. Jason's in there. Sean is in there. John is in there. I could just start naming names, and luckily enough, I would hit lots of people. But I do know many, many, many of these people that are in the chat because they're also Discord members. Thank you guys for being here. Brandon is back. He is behind the scenes turning the knobs and making sure that this goes off easier for me, which is good because I've got a bunch of movie magic. This one I want to show you the thing that I've been doing on the side. It's at least partially ready, and that requires the camera and all that kind of stuff. So if the show is great, it is all because of Brandon. If the show is terrible, it's all because of me. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great New Year's and all that stuff. This is, I think, the first show of the New Year's. So happy New Year's, friends. Happy New Year. Is it New Year or New Year's? And whatever it is, pick one. I think they're still technically valid. Let's get down to business. So I like to start the show and talk about, John said, I'm wondering if Rich needs to grab his teleprompter for the intro. It would be much smoother, but then it wouldn't be as authentic. Then it wouldn't just be as off the cuff and, put me in front of a camera. I will dance. Anyway, I like to start the show with a live story or a personal story. And I don't really have anything special because you guys know from the last show, I spent most of my time wasting my time playing Arc Raiders, which I'm breaking up from, friends. I just want you to know that Arc Raiders and I, we're not on speaking terms, and I haven't played for a couple of days now, and it feels good, but I kind of, and man, Choo-Choo's in there, and I kind of feel good and also feel really bad, like that, that weird feeling like, oh, something's wrong in my life because I'm not doing this thing. But anyway, yesterday though was Monday, right? And that was the first day I had gone back to work, the day job. I have a day job. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. As much as my aspirations and dreams may allude to that, the day job is the thing I do. Anyway, I also think that helps me be better at YouTube because I can actually speak as someone who knows what I'm talking about versus someone who just read it. But I digress. Anyway, all I wanted to say about going back to work is it kind of sucks. I was off for like 2 weeks. I was off for about 2 weeks, right? From like the 19th off until the 4th. And coming back on Monday, I realized how much I didn't use my brain while I was on vacation. And let me explain. So, I was doing things, playing video games. I worked on some content a little bit. We did that great live show with Tom, and we did the regular live show as well, but no real content, no real thought going on. And Monday, I worked all day long, and at the end of the day, it was like 5 o'clock. I'm like, man, why am I so damn tired? I don't understand. All I did was sit here all day, and then I realized I forgot that working in a technical role, I used my brain way more than I think I realized. And it kind of dawned on me, if I was the kind of dude who was like hammering nails or using my hands or something really physical, then it would be obvious, right, why I was tired at the end of the day, because I had done a lot of physical exertion. My ass sits in a chair most of the time. So, at the end of the day comes, I'm just like, why am I so tired? I took a nap. That's how tired I was. I took a little nap. Anyway, So just looking back at the chat, yeah, I see some people are commiserating that work sucks. I appreciate it. And you know, Manchuchu thinks I need to get back into Arc Raiders, and I don't know. We'll see. It was an emotionally turbulent time, and Sakura said a little 4-hour nap. No, it was like a 30-minute nap just to refresh. And Levick said, "Joke's on you. Working in a knock, you never stop, so you don't get the holiday break." I'm sorry, Levick. Work is the best. Yes, look at these guys. I appreciate you guys. I want to start the show off and kind of talk about some really cool things that I use in my home lab. One, maybe actually two, that you guys might not even know about. These are all self-hostable projects, but I was earlier this week, I was working on some diagram stuff. And back in the day, Corporate Rich, who is not here right now, Corporate Rich would use Microsoft Visio. Why wouldn't we use Visio? Visio's great, right? Visio costs money. That's the biggest reason. And I'm not down to steal it from Microsoft because I don't want them to knock on my door. So a long time ago, Brandon, if you throw up the screen, I found Draw.io. And this one you guys probably already know about. Draw.io has been around for, I feel like forever. And it's kind of like the go-to open source diagram for technical stuff, right? And it's self-hostable. Here it is running. By the way, I just want to say this for Alley Cat's sake. Their website is not dark mode enabled, but the app is dark mode enabled, and I don't get it. So that's just obviously a decision on their part. But the nice thing about Draw.io, is that it's totally free. You can run it in a Docker container. In fact, here's the actual, Docker hub for it, including, there's your Docker command line to throw it up, and it just runs, and I use it a lot. And the reason why I use it a lot is because it's got this, other than the regular flowchart stuff, right? You can go here and you can say, let's search for firewall. And then you hit enter and you get little pictures of the firewall. It's like, boom, there's a firewall. Let's search for cloud, because the internet is a giant cloud. Anyway, and these are all resizable. It's very similar to, in a general sense, I would say, to Visio. Visio is, I'm not going to pretend that Visio is less than these. Visio is still like the premier visualization as far as diagram is concerned, right? Hashtag prove me wrong. And it tucks Happy New Year's to you too. Good to have you in the chat. Anyway, so Draw.io, anyone can have it, anyone can use it. You can export them as PNGs, transparent or otherwise. And you've seen some videos where I've actually used this before. So obviously not this icon, but nonetheless, you can do some really cool things, right? And you can, let's go ahead and draw a connector. Let's make it, we like connectors. This connector is going to go here, boop. Why is my connector not showing up? And here I am trying to show you how to do this, and let's try this again. Connector. Fine. There we go. Here it is. And then, okay, you can double click stuff. You get the point. Internet. All right, you get the point. I might have to enhance double click here just to look at that. There we go. So you see it, right? This Shadow Technologies welcome. This is the go-to. Like I even brought this into the day job and said, hey, all those excess Visio licenses that people were having to pay for and they only use once or twice and we're getting dinged for, how about give them access to this? And so we did. The people who don't need Visio, you can look like a hero at work, be like, this is free and open source. It doesn't cost us any money and we can self-host it. And it's nice for that. I came across another one that, yes, they do. Like, yeah, exactly. There's a ton of stuff in here. BK said in the chat, they're like, you can search for, let's look for Azure, and you hit more results. You can more results to your heart's content, and put Azure things in there. Hey, like this, and there's tool tips about tablet, whatever. So you can build all that stuff out, and it's got all of that in there. It does have Cisco stuff too. I got people asking in the chat. We search for Cisco. Let's do more icons. Let's do more. I feel like that, the Star Wars meme. More. So find what you need. You can find it. Optical transport. You can build all this stuff out, and it works. Again, if you have a home lab, even if it's a small one, running Kubernetes or whatever, shout out to Kubernetes there, friends, you can install this and run it and just make it part of your self-hosting stack, right? Super easy. It's awesome for that. I found another one that, so again, before I show you this other one, I just want to say, Draw.io is the GOAT, right? Can I use that term? It is the greatest of all time in terms of open source diagram software that you can self-host. No arguments. But I found this other one right here, and let me tell you about it. This is also self-hostable. I will put a link in the show notes after the show is done. Made by a gentleman called Stan Smith. Stan Smith, Family Guy Stan Smith? I don't know. It's called FossFlow, F-O-S-S Flow. And it is a diagramming software, but it is a completely different approach because here it's kind of isometric. So let's just see. And I'll explain why I love this so much later. So let's go here. So I just dropped it on there. Here's a firewall. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Enhance. No, I didn't want that enhanced. It's tough. We only have so much window space here. But this is an isometric angled view, so you can do all this really, really cool stuff in here. And let's see if I just want to get it just right so you guys can see it. We'll search for VM. Oh, there's a virtual machine. We'll just boop, and we'll just boop that thing like that, like there. Let's go here and search for switch. I'm probably the only person here who is watching this that thinks that really sexy looking diagrams that are cool like this are really great. I love walking into a presentation being like, boom, I made this. Now I know that there's a gentleman in our chat here and in the Discord who has made some really incredible diagrams using AI to do it. And I don't fault that. But this thing, like here, let's call this Proxmox, right? We'll just call it Proxmox. And then this dude here, we'll go back to this. This is still, I would say, a little, I mean, that's not a little, it's a lot more behind Draw.io, because with Draw.io, while you don't have necessarily the sexy icons, like I'm really drawn to the visuals, right? The icons really are nice for me, but Draw.io has got a huge library, just a massive library of a whole bunch of stuff, right? And you can find, search, there's shapes for days because it's pulling from a lot of different places, where FossFlow is got some limited stuff in it in terms of like the actual icons. You can also upload your own icons too, but then they might not look so isometric, like UDM Pro Max, Proxmax Pro Max. So again, I can't not. I look this icons. Look at this, just boop. Let's just go ahead and we'll do another line here. Boop. It's got tooltips along the way. Is there a cloud? I bet there's a cloud. Everybody's got a cloud. Cloud. There it is, friends. Look at that. There's a cloud. You can laugh and judge me all you want. I'm okay with that. But I think that this is pretty badass. And again, it's small, lightweight, and it runs in a Docker container, and you can run it in your home lab. You can take it to work and show it off. But yeah, Sakura says, yeah, this is SimCity 2000. Hey, listen, you're not wrong. I can't discredit that thing. It to me actually, and Brandon always gives me a hard time about this, but I have this soft spot for Haiku, which is a port of BIOS from back in the day, right? And why I loved BIOS and Haiku, by the way, you can still download Haiku, it's still being maintained, but it's a lightweight project. Terry's in there. Does it have a Hyper-V server icon? Oh, Terry, you're smart, Alec. Let's find out. I doubt it does though. No, sorry, Terry. It has Azure Hybrid Center though, so you got that going for you, which is nice. There's not even hypervisor, but you can upload your own icons and you can do that stuff too. But back to what I was saying, it reminds me a lot of BIOS, because BIOS had these, I want to enhance here, these isometric icons too. And I don't know. You guys can think what you want. You can say what you want, but I think that this is pretty nice. There's also a when you run this as a self-contained, you run it self-hosted. You can set a local storage location so you can store your things. That's the one problem that you have with like using Draw.io is that Draw.io doesn't let you store. You have to export it out and then save it locally. You can also re-import said thing as well, but you can't store it on your server automatically, which is kind of a bummer. But the FOSS-Flow does have the ability to get saved and say, this is a network. I can't spell network today. Anyway, and then you have it, right? And so you can load it, you can export it, you can apparently share it. And you can also export this as a file that you could then also import as well. So it's all JSON. At any rate, I think this is beautiful. And I think that you'd be a fool not to run it because it costs you nothing. And think of those cool diagrams that you can bring to work. I don't know. I've always got this like a little bit of this idea that, like it's important that the home, for me, the home lab is more than just like the hobby and the things I do for fun. It's also like it's supposed to be a feedback loop. It feeds back into stuff that you can then take to your day job. Or you can take someplace, you can impress others. You can make YouTube videos with it or a live stream and show it off. Super simple to set up. Go do it. I will put this in the show notes for the show when it's over, so you can go find it, or you can just search for FOSS-Flow. Stan-Smith/FOSS-Flow is it on GitHub. Get it. It's super easy. Like, I'm not kidding. I think that the whole, where was it at? Yeah, that was it. It's just super small, simple. And there's also further down, I think you can find the actual Docker Compose file if you want to do that. I was all excited about these two things. I was like, yeah, this is great. And then Brandon's like, have you heard of Rackula? Rackula. Rackula. What is Rackula? Rackula is another open source diagramming or application that you can install again as a self-hosted Docker container or Kubernetes run container. You know what I'm talking about. And it lets you design out your racks visually. So let's do it. When you first load into it, it says, new rack, Racky McRackface. I don't know. That's funny, but all right. So let's do this again. New rack. Let's call this 2GT rack. I haven't fully utilized this. It shows 21 and 23 inch rack, which I don't really think exists much anymore. And height. This is nice. Okay. Create. Golly. This I'm loving this already. So the top of my rack, I have a pass-through. So do we have a pass-through? Brush. Let's just try pass-through. Okay, let's try category instead of brand. What do you say? Brush. There we go. Brush scale management panel. 1U. Okay, so it doesn't show it, which is a bummer, but that's okay. And then below that, I have my UDM Pro. Oh my God, look at that. There's an icon for it. Okay, so you don't get pretty, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this, guys. So you don't get pretty pictures of the fronts of the unit, which is a little bit of a bummer. Don't get me wrong, but it does, lets you build out your rack. What do I have below that? I think I have another brush pass through below that. I gotta think about my rack now. And boop, boop, boop. And then I have a look at what we got. 24. What did you do? Man, they've got basically everything in here. That's nice. I wish I could expand this out so I could see what these words said. Is this the Ag Pro? I have an Ag. No, it just says aggregation. That's not right. I don't know. This is for the infrastructure engineers on here. There's literally probably dozens of us. If you have ever been in a situation where you've been asked to diagram for your CMDB, your configuration management database, and you've done this with just Excel. Yes, Excel. I hate to say it. I did. Let's go back in time. It's probably 15 years ago. I worked for a company that was moving from there to a big boy office. They had grown up and they moved to this big boy office. And we had a bunch of virtualization back then. It was VMware 5.1, Enterprise Plus. Anyway, we had a big stack. There was like 7 or 8 hosts in that system, and they were all cabled up. I put it all together because that's just what you do. And then it had to be moved, and it had to be pulled out of the existing racks and moved into the new hotness in the new building and reset up. And I had to go through and diagram everything from end to end. That include cable connections, rack layouts, all that kind of stuff. And all I had was Microsoft Excel. I did it. By the grace of God and a sharp stick, I got it done. But I tell you what, it was not fun. So, Aragorn Strider said, I just did 7 racks in Excel a month ago. My man, here it is. Get on this and run it, and you can do all these great stuff. I'm just stunned with all the, like, that they have a lot of these names. I really, really, really wish that they had actual pictures, right? That would be so great if we had pictures. Because, I mean, that's what I did as a nerd. When I built out the diagrams in Excel, I put the pictures there because I wanted to show people. Like, I made color icons like this green Ethernet connection goes over to this network switch on this port, so that you could just rip and replace everything, toss the cables. Because, you know, when you move data centers, you don't keep the cables. That would be a bad idea because you just can't guarantee the health or function of the cables after they've been pulled out of the cabinets and the wire management and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, man, this would have been nice. Or to have this software. What else do they have? Do we have Supermicro in here? Let's see what we got. Supermicro. Oh, they do. Look at this. I don't know exactly which model I've got because Supermicro's got these really super useless names. Like, Supermicro SYS. That's a 1U. I have a 2U. Super server. I'm not sure that's exactly where it's at, but man, I really wish you could mounted face, both front and rear, full depth. Yeah, I mean, you can upload images. Oh, okay. There's so much more to this than I've been scratching at here. So let's dig in. So on all of these, if you double click on them, you can pop out. Looks like you can give it a name. You can, obviously position, all that kind of stuff. You can change the color. I don't know color. Mounted face is, front forward, front image. I don't have an image to show rear image. So you can do all these things. IP address. Oh my God. Oh my God. If you take away anything from tonight's live show, this thing is bananas. BANANAS. Thank you, Gwen Stefani. Sakura. Oh no, he's drooling. I'm just telling you, like, anytime you can, any opportunity to find something that actually, like, I feel like in home labbing, we live in a world of basically two halves, which is like the self-hosting. I'm running Plex and virtualizing stuff and doing a bunch of that kind of stuff. And then there's I am testing and learning for my profession or whatever, right? And this feels like one of those things that serves both sides of the fence. So you can diagram your stuff. I'm going to diagram my butt off with this thing. I don't know why that's something that I want to do, but hey, we've all got weird things about us, right? We're all, oh man, this is great. I love it. All right. So this, again, you can find this. I'll put this in the live show notes as well, but this is Racula Lives /Racula on GitHub. And it's bananas. I love it. That's great. Brandon, thank you so much for showing me that, because that's legit. Time for Rich. Whatever you do, if you're watching this after the live show, don't read the live chat. Game over, Dave. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, should we switch things up a little bit? Because I spend a huge amount of time just kind of chit-chatting about this. I want to talk a little bit about the next video, which will be coming out very, very soon. And it's this. It is Veeam backup and replication version 13. I am at the point where I'm editing now. So the video is basically done. So I wanted to give you guys a bit of a preview, a bit of like a behind the scenes here, because I've got some strong opinions, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. As if I just came into these shows without like having any addition. I'm using the NFR license. So the chat is great. Anyway, VB and R. Like, you might be asking yourself, if you're watching this, why would this guy be talking about enterprise backup? Well, because I work in the enterprise, right? As many of you do that are in this chat, and backup's like this thing that I feel like gets a whole lot of shade. I don't like managing backups. It's not my thing. I in the day job, it's going to make somebody very happy. You're right, Livix. I still feel very strongly, which is a weird thing to say. Do you know anybody else who you could say beyond a shadow of a doubt feels strongly about backup software? But I do, because it's a huge part of virtualization. It's a huge part of enterprise virtualization and decisions and flows and where you can go and stuff like that. So I'll get to the TLDR on this first. So Veeam Backup and Replication version 13 has a brand new hot, sexy feature, and that is you no longer need to use a Windows server to run VBNR, which is big, because everything that they've done in the past was only Windows based, right? No client for Mac OS, no web interface really that you could effectively use on any user, any platform that you want. But now you can get away from using a Windows server license, which is great, right? But you can't get away from Windows. And here's the thing, and I'll talk about this at length in the video, but if you can read this, I'm going to enhance. When you log in for the first time, you're hit with this message that says, if you notice a feature missing, it likely hasn't made its way into the web UI just yet. For now, feel free to use the Windows-based console whenever you need to manage settings that aren't available in the web UI. We will iterate quickly and bring more features over to the new UI with every minor release, prioritizing workloads and features based on their actual usage. All you can do in the web UI for the Linux version of 13 is VMware and Hyper-V. So Terry will be happy about that. Terry, you can use Hyper-V and back up your Hyper-V. That is a big disappointment for me. Now listen, it still backs up PVE and Nutanix and SC Hypercore, which is the Scale product, right? I haven't tried Proton. Unless you're talking about, you'll have to let me know what you mean by Proton. There's lots of Protons that I can think off the top of my head. I am bummed about it too, friends. Here's the thing. You have to install the FAT client, which is essentially the web the original interface client for Veeam backup and recovery on a Windows machine. And then you can build your backup jobs for PVE or Nutanix or anything like that. And I feel there's this huge sense of irony for me here, because they roll out a Linux version of VBNR and they don't target any of the alternative hypervisors that are Linux based, they're KVM based through it. It still does it all in the back end, right? All the mechanisms, machinery, and programming and stuff are there, but you can't manage any backup stuff. Like, I can go to jobs here and be like, oh, let me create a backup job. I would love to add VMware vSphere or Hyper-V. Like, God, that just hurts me right here in the heart. But if you load the backup, the Windows client, you can do those things, and then they won't show up in here because it only supports VMware and Hyper-V inside this currently. So that's a little soul crushing for me, if I might be honest. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I still feel very strongly that Veeam is arguably the best enterprise virtualization backup platform that there is, or just enterprise backup in general, right? The thing that I think that I'm getting wrapped up in, and maybe others are, is that there's an expectation that it's going to be feature complete, because I wouldn't release it if it wasn't feature complete. But obviously they had justifications and reasoning for doing so. So that's a bummer, but you can still do all this stuff. There's some good stuff. I was going to say the other things there. There's some good stuff that it does do. It brings a lot of the feature parity that you get with VMware to PVE. For example, I've talked about this in the past. I talked about it in the other video that I did about Veeam, but like, it brings application awareness processing to PVE now. So people who want to run a SQL server, a Windows SQL server, or a Postgres server, or Oracle, and they want to run those on PVE, but back up with Veeam, can't, because up until now, because you couldn't reach into that VM and say, do a transaction log truncation, store your data so that we can back up and your backups will be correct. Because if you just back up Microsoft SQL just by backing it up, your data is invalid. Your backup's not going to be good for that. You won't be able to restore it because the transaction logs hadn't been merged into your database. And so your database is incomplete. Makes sense, right? So now that is there. So you can do that. There's also malware scanning for PVE. But the thing that I've come to really realize here, and I want to share it with you guys because I think it's not profound, but I think that it's a big deal. All of these people, me including, who left VMware, who moved on to alternative hypervisors, became part of the diaspora that moved away because Broadcom is an evil corporation. I should get that as a t-shirt. Can I get that as a t-shirt? Probably be in trouble. But everybody who left VMware because of Broadcom landed somewhere, whether it was in Nutanix or Hyper-V or PVE, or they're going to Verge OS or HyperCore, wherever, right? All these other places. All of those platforms, every single one of them has a means of exporting workloads out of VMware into their platform. So Nutanix has got Nutanix Move. PVE, XCP-ng, they both have like actual built-in functionality to move a virtual machine out of VMware and put it into, your hypervisor of choice. None of them, not a single one, has a means of getting workloads out of other different hypervisors. Everybody's been like, oh, the 800-pound gorilla is dead. Let's take advantage of this opportunity and make it easier for people to pull their stuff. But XCP-ng doesn't have a import from PVE. Hyper-V doesn't have an import from PVE and vice versa. Like, none of these, outside of the VMware import, there really effectively nothing exists for it. That is where I think, if I may put on my prognostication hat, the real value of what Veeam offers, yes, backup and recovery and, disaster recovery and all that stuff all day long. I mean, I feel like these days that's kind of table stakes. If you are somebody who is, working in business, you might be using Rubrik, you might be using Commvault, you might be using all these different backup solutions. And fundamentally, they all do the job, right? They're doing their job. They back up stuff and they can restore stuff and their performance, whatnot. But none of them provide what Veeam does in addition, which is the ability to support every hypervisor. That is the key differentiator for me. So Veeam now, again, supports VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix, PVE, and SC HyperCore. It's already announced that they're going to support Verge OS, which is Verge IO's virtualization stack that we've made some videos about. They're also going to be supporting XCP-ng. That's already out in the know. And who knows what else. But now you basically got everything. You got all of your hypervisors. And then what do? Well, now it's not a problem for you to say, you know what? I'm done with PVE. I don't like the performance. I will go ahead and move my workloads out of PVE and into Verge or into Hyper-V. Move them wherever you want because that platform supports everything. It becomes the central kind of glue that allows you as a person who's running infrastructure to not be tied down to a single vendor. Like, the one thing that vendors really want with that is that, if we can get people to move their stuff from VMware into Proxmox, that's awesome. Now all the stuff's in Proxmox, but what if you get tired of Proxmox? Then you're down at the command line doing a bunch of QCOW2 stuff to try to convert things to some other format, and it's problematic. It's not smooth and beautiful and easy like it is to press and click through a bunch of things and be done. But if you can use Veeam, you can say, you know what? I'm done with PVE. I'm going to try out XCP-ng. Whomp! I'll just throw my workloads over there. Done. And this is really where I think the future of this is because another prognostication. We didn't find a winner in 2025. Who was going to be the winner of the enterprise virtualization, private cloud, private public, whatever, hybrid cloud, whatever. We didn't find one. I thought we would get closer, but we didn't. So now what I think the real answer is, if you're running stuff for work, if you're running this, even at home, if you're running it for home, the right answer might be to have two different hypervisors. or two different types of technologies. I'm not going to discount because, Veeam will back up Kubernetes too, BT dubs. It'll do all that as well. So maybe have a PVE host and Kubernetes, or, something where you have two. And in the day job too, don't put all your eggs into one singular basket, because that basket might get toppled over someday when end stage capitalism and corporate greed comes in to ruin the day. Veeam, I think, is the answer right now. Is the answer for that? It's a universal, effectively will become a universal migration tool between your hypervisor of choice, and I think that's awesome. Anyway, that's a nutshell of everything. The video will come out very, very soon. I hope to get the video out done this week. And okay, what did Shadow Technology say? He said, Two Guys Tech, we did find a winner. Your wallet renewing VMware tell you it can move next year. Can we complain? Game Over Dave would say, can we complain about RAM now? I don't know. We in the chat earlier, we saw that Anitux found a good deal on Facebook Marketplace. Are we really going that route? Are we now heading to the Facebook Marketplace? I mean, get it where you can. If you can get a good deal on DDR5, brother, you better get in there. That's for sure. Because it ain't going to get any better. So Sean Wood said, for some strange reason, he's not on the hype train for PvE. He ran it before and it worked for him, but something in him just doesn't want to go back. That's totally understandable, Sean, to be honest with you. Like, I can say from the stuff that I've done in the work life, I would say that it's probably gonna get me in trouble, but whatever. I've had a harder time getting PvE to really acclimate into the enterprise. I've been running experiments on, in the day job, trying to find ways to get workloads moved around, to try to be diverse. And I think that the biggest issue that I've had with PvE in the workplace has been probably the adoption from the users who were very comfortable in VMware and Hyper-V, because for them, it was far more manual. It felt, I've complained about it before, but a lot of the complaints that I received from people were, we had this really pretty user experience in VMware, and now this looks like we stepped back in time. That's true. But hopefully PDM, I have yet to bring PDM and show people that, because that at least gives you some modern experience. But I agree. Oh, the chat moved back on to RAM here. So yes, and Alleycat UK was mentioning there's a meme picture going around of a white van that in normal times would say free candy on it, like a free candy van. Like, don't get in that, kids. That's a bad van. And now it says free DDR5 RAM on the side. That's yeah. So anyway, never trust the RAM van, as Levick said. Let's move on. I want to show you the thing that I really wanted to show you, if you guys have time for that. Okay. All right. Let's start first. Let's talk about this. I mentioned this last show that I was working on this project because they sent me this guy. This is the Zima Board 2. Cool. It's nice. I mean, I'll make a video about it. They sent it to me without talking to me, which I hate, because then there's like this, hey, and they keep emailing me saying, hey, when's that video going to be done? I'm like, you sent this to me cold without talking to me. Do you think I can fit this in? But it's still a great piece of hardware, and I'm going to make a video with it. I'm just not going to do the whole like, oh, let's review it and throw a Proxmox on it. Oh, look, it works, because there's a lot of people who have already done that. I'm not the first to get this piece of hardware. So for me to dump a bunch of time, that is not going to work. So I want to do something else interesting with it. And I had this idea. Lear Siegler was a company that existed. It started in 1962, which was a long time ago, a lot before me. I was reading through the history of this company, and it's like, oh, they were like a aerospace company. They made automotive parts and industrial and commercial stuff. Like, this company's like, oh, we make everything. It reminded me a lot of Tektronix, I think, in a way, because, there was, if you guys know who, I'm sorry, Ali, I'm just in dark mode. You guys, are familiar with the company Tektronix. Tektronix was like well known for like sand would go in one side of the factory and not the other side would come out like a completed computer monitor, right? Like they did soup to nuts. I hate that term, but that's what they did. End to end, they built everything themselves. And this Siegler company kind of sounds like it too. We're like, oh, we make everything from, other thing they talked about here, they made everything from like ovens to like military computers for like war or something like that. Just at any rate, they merged with a company called Siegler, and eventually they became this company that made this guy. And I showed you guys this last week. This is the ADM3. This is a 3A here, but this thing right here, I have always been in love with this design because it feels so incredibly retro, so incredibly. Am I crazy? You guys don't think that that's? I don't know. I think that is a sexy piece of vintage computer hardware. That thing is only a terminal, by the way. It doesn't have a brain. It's a serial port on the outside. It connected to mainframes. That's what it was for. And it had a CRT in it, and it was either green or amber or whatever. And you can still find these, like what exists today. You can find them on eBay. They're just ridiculously expensive, to the order of like $300 to $500. But I was bumming around the interwebs and I found a guy who, because there's always a guy. We're always looking for a guy who obviously shares the same passion as me, and he created a 3D model of this whole thing, right? And he went as far as to design this to get, a 4x3 LCD display and all that stuff. This thing is big. To put it in perspective, it is quite large. It is so big that I can't print it on my Prusa XL. My Prusa XL is arguably a huge printer too, but I wish I could. That would be really awesome if I could, but I can't. So I chopped it into quarters, and also there's some pictures of it. I want to show the other parts here. Boop, boop, boop. No, that's not gonna work. There's also a bottom. The bottom is also equally large, right? And so I chopped this into quarters, and I started printing and printing and printing and printing. And after a solid week of 3D printing, and thankfully not a whole lot of failures, honestly, I came up and completed my thing. I still have a lot of work on it, which, as an aside, if anyone watching this has any knowledge into Bondo, like the stuff that you fix cars bodies with, right? Car body filler. I think that's, Bondo is probably a brand name, but I could use some input on it. So anyway, let me grab this. Brandon, you want to throw up the other camera? Yes. See, folks, this is a weird angle and it's ultra wide, but I had to do it to be able to fit it in here. So here it is, and check it out. It opens up just like the original does, so you can see inside. And let's set this down a little bit here. You can see, but I'll have to put some inserts in here so I can screw in this monitor. You can see the splits. I don't know if you can see it very well because the camera is what it is, but like all of this kind of, it comes together and it all closes up like that. And here's the thing. Let me show you the keyboard. This is like a dirt cheap, what is this? A Red Dragon keyboard. So don't judge me because this is going to go in this thing here. So it'll be taken apart, right? But it goes like this. We can kind of show you what this looks like. So it'll all go in there, and obviously when it's out of the case, and it'll be like that. And I mean, just look at this. And it'll have a, like I said, it's like a 1024 by 768 LCD display, which I have in a box. Shadow Technologies. Oh, I double dog dare you to put a computer in that and take it through TSA. You know what? I'm more concerned about where I'd put it in the overhead bin in the airplane. But the thing is, and I'll spin this thing around so you can see it, because there you go. It's a good example. So you can see where these sides come together. And because 3D printing on a 3D printer, this is as PLA, by the way, so you can judge me all day long. But I didn't want to do anything but PLA because I had big spools of PLA. But you know, you can see all the like the slats in it, right? Those are the same slats that are in the. If I go back here to this picture here, you can kind of see them. Well, we're not on the same screen. Thank you, Brandon. You can kind of see these. Let's enhance further. It's kind of hard to see, but like up on top here, there's some like air holes there, and it's not going to have a CRT in it, right? So there's a lot of extra space, but I think this is the perfect thing to use with the, you know, the Zima board, right? Get it in there. There's lots of room. Like, you know, it's not going to be super sexy, but it's going to be cool. And the thing is, any of you guys watching the TSA? Yeah, Game Over Video's got some experience TSA. So yeah, let's go back to, if any of you have been watching Fallout, the TV series, right? If you're not a Fallout fan, it's probably not worth watching, obviously. And it's also excessively gory, but so is the game Fallout. So it's not a surprise there. But with Fallout in the TV series, they have, so if I see the picture, this is a terrible photo, right? Because it's from it's a screen grab from the movie. I didn't take the screen grab. Here I go getting this content strike. But if you can kind of see right here, I'll see if I can enhance more. That's the main actress right there, and this is a dude. But they're using the ADM3 as their computers in the TV series. And like the nerd I am, I'm watching this with my wife. We're watching the show, right? Season 2 just came out, and I'm like, oh my God, I know what that is. You know, I'm like, oh, I'll talk about it. You know, and I'm all excited. And my wife's like, I don't give two shits. That's cool. Thank you. Like sometimes they're, you know, I wonder what she sees in me, but I'm all excited about it. I'm like, I'm making one of those. And I like run out to the garage and I come back. And I'm like, here it is. Look, I made it. You know, and she's just like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Yeah, and there's Shadow Technologies. This is a new episode tonight. Absolutely. Anyway, it's a good show. I'm not going to lie. I would have preferred a different storyline because whatever. But it's fun. It's a good show. So I'm going to build this out, and this is where I'm going to put that Zima board, or Zima board 2. No, it's not going to be, you know, like Zima board heavy, and they might be upset about that, but I don't care, man. I don't. What am I supposed to do? You sent me this out of the blue and expect me to make it. So that is, you know, the fact that I can. I don't know, guys. Let's just look how sexy that is. And I actually, this is something you guys might have. I'm not touching that one. I will say the one thing that I really want to do here, which I'm not sure how I can pull it off, is I really want to get some sort of amber color or green colored terminal software and install Linux on it and have it be like a Linux terminal kind of deal. So it actually kind of feels old, like it is just a terminal. And I'm sure there's software out there. I'd really love to have some sort of like KDE or GNOME like screen changing shader or something that allowed me to change it so that it looks very vintage. Not sure about the colors. So, you know, a lot of the like this is the classic colors, right? This is the way the LSI or the LSI, yeah, ADM3 used to look like. There you go. So this guy was really going for the actual vintage thing. Part of me wanted to go kind of like a candy apple red on top and maybe a black bottom. Like, wouldn't that be like shiny and like sparkles? I don't know where I'm going with this, but purple. Thank you, Sakura. I like purple. Would be good too. Purple on top or purple on bottom. Anyway, that is still open for discussion. Maybe we'll have Brandon throw up a on YouTube. We'll throw up a questionnaire or a survey and say, hey, what would your color pairs be for this guy? Because, you know, and it'll be cool. And then I'm not sure what to do with it after that. Anyway, that's really effectively what I've been obsessing about, other than, you know, Veeam and all that kind of stuff. All right, I guess we'll hot dog theme. No, Dave, I can't do a hot dog theme color. That would be That would be a little goofy. I don't know if, like, would that be like beige on top and red on the bottom, or would it be red on top and what side is the bun? If if this was to be hot dog theme colored, what side would be the bun? Yeah, one Windows 3.1. Thank you, Skira. Purple on top, purple on bottom. All right. All right. There's lots of. I love it. That's what we'll do. We'll officially put up a survey. Can we just do a survey from here? Is that you can? Oh my gosh. Let's do start a poll. Question. What color should the top be? Question mark. Beige. If I spell some of these wrong, you can't judge me. Red, candy, apple, red, purple, black. I can only do 4. So we'll start with that. I don't know if this is going to work, guys. This is the magic of YouTube and all the extra gamification junk that they've added. But did a poll just pop up for you? Look at that. Oh, we got 50% on beige. Beige is in the lead. Oh, beige is dropping. Beige is still the winner. I would have thought you guys would have been anti-beige. I mean, that would be sleeper for sure, but like, it's an old looking PC. That's fair. That's fair. There's obviously other colors we could, I want to see all the things. Oh, so next in the list is candy apple red. Okay. All right. This is, man, beige is, people are fighting it out on beige. This is bananas. Purple is getting close to second place. I don't know. Beige is winning 36 to 27. It's actually that's a pretty cool thing, that poll. Soylent Green. It's made of people, Terry. We're not going to be making it Soylent Green. So lots of love for the retro. That's not a bad idea. I still need to figure out how to Bondo because that's going to be the top part. Beige on top, purple on the bottom. All right, that's starting to become a common theme here, and I can respect that. I will leave that up because I don't know. Oh, now we're a 3-way tie for beige, candy apple red, and purple. But black is a distant third in this case. But anyway, that's you want to yeah. Shadow Technology said, Rich, you could use this to display your PvE stats on your desk. I don't know if it really, Brandon, can we go back to the camera, please? I don't know if you saw this, Shadow, but it's big. Here's my hand. I mean, I have an average man's hand. I'm not like a big-handed man, but it's not small, right? Like you saw the keyboard. This is a 75% keyboard, so it fits, that's where it goes. It is not a tiny thing. I don't know how much desk space you have, my dude, but that'd be a tough fit. But I don't know. I'm super jazzed by the poll. That was just a harebrained idea. Anyway, working on that. Let's talk about CES because there's some big things that happened from NVIDIA. What do you say? Because we have a little bit of time left. I'm already buttoned up against the. By the way, beige is still winning, so that's all there is to that. Beige looks like a winner. Okay, let's head back over. Let's talk about the big news from. Let's talk about the big news from NVIDIA and their whole next generation of AI with Rubin. 6 new chips, 1 incredible AI supercomputer. So the TLDR is there is, at CES, they announced, the next generation of their AI product line with the NVIDIA Rubin platform, which is 6 new chips designed to deliver 1 incredible AI supercomputer. I was talking to Brandon about this in the pre-show. Like, you remember when they were saying that the current generation was supposed to be the generation that lasted for like 3, 5, 7 years. And now they're like, no. Take all of those chips, the H100s and whatever, and just throw them away. We're going to throw them out. So they announced, Leavix already beat me to it, but a pair of, you have your brand new Rubin GPUs and then the Vera CPU, which is specifically focused on doing AI stuff, which now you've got a 2-part deal. Can I just say, I like to call bullshit when I think it's bullshit, but I'm really put off by the phrase or the term AI factories, because there's nothing physically being made. I feel like that is a terrible misrepresentation of what a factory is. And to be like, oh, that, you know, it delivers system level efficiency to AI factories, serving both as the host CPU that feeds GPUs for gigascale AI and as the compute backbone for running tasks that keep the factory running in real time. I wonder if they use AI to write this. I would love to know that. Wouldn't it be great if NVIDIA used an LLM to build the whole thing? Like, get rid of Jensen entirely on stage and just have like an AI thing just do it for them. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Reading through this, there is some really incredibly high performance stuff going on. Like, I don't mean to minimize the technological advances that NVIDIA is making. Sometimes I feel like NVIDIA, remember the Terminator 2 movie where, you know, Cyberdyne Systems found the broken CPU of the first Terminator, and they were like, we don't know what it was or how it's done, but it sent us in all these new directions. I feel like maybe Jensen was like walking behind a back of a convenience store and saw like the curved shaped bowl in the ground and found a broken Terminator CPU. And that's what NVIDIA has become, is the speeds and throughput of the information that they're able to pass through here. Like they're super NICs. Looking at these, like I was going down here looking through these, you know, the max bandwidth, 800 gigabits a second. One port, 800, two ports, 400, like PCIe Gen 6. We're still on Gen 5, man. Slow your roll. Make it now. I'm with you, Shadow. But like the things that they're doing, and you're like, they announced a new Bluefield. By the way, the DPUs. Remember the DPUs? They were like only for virtualization, and then AI came along. They're like, nah, this is for AI now. Again, I'm really bent out of shape about the phrase factors. Anyway, this the things that they're pulling off here in terms of like throughput with their NVLink and their chip-to-chip interfaces, like I'm blown away. I'm still not sold that this is the future in terms of like the positive benefits of it. I do use, like, full disclosure, I do use AI regularly. I used AI today to do a thing, and so I'm not going to pretend like I'm not a user of it. I don't have a ideological like this is bad thing. I'm just wishing that there was more efficient and more reasonable approach to AI that wasn't making a data center in everybody's neighborhood. But okay, we're actually at the end of the show, so I'm not gonna. Let's bring it. We'll bring it home, Brandon. Let's close it out, because we have the after show that we do right after this. I get 2 times in the show to bring up the Discord. First time is to talk about joining the Discord, because that's where the community is. That's the community side of this, which I would love for you guys to join. But also then after this thing that's going to end here in a couple minutes, I hop on and we all just hang out, and just have a chat. We just hang out and talk about whatever comes to mind. And I think a big conversation is going to be what color the top should be, which right now is beige. And if I'm not lying to you guys, I'm a little disappointed. I don't know if I was thinking that crazy colors beige is a lot easier. So take that for what it's worth. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, this has been a great show. I hope you guys had fun. We'll be back next week. As an aside, Brandon and I are looking at seeing if we can move this to Wednesdays. I know there's a request to move it to Wednesdays. I hope that Wednesdays works for everybody. So, purple like my mic? Yeah. Oh, see, Sakura's like, it's purple like your mic. Yeah, the cover. I didn't even think about that. But, all right. Thank you guys for watching. Join us in the Discord afterwards. Check out the next video, the Veeam video when it comes out. Check out the video when I decided to paint this thing beige. Because beige. Anyway. Thanks guys for watching. We'll catch you next week. I got to go over here and hit end stream. See you guys.